Howdy folks, this is Bob. Today we're going to make a fun flight from Buffalo, New York, USA to Rochester, New York. And we're going to be taking this Lancair Legacy. This is the older fixed gear model. Aerobasque put it out in the freebies column. I like when they do that. I got picked up quite a few of their, or a couple of their planes that they tossed out for freebies. This is a nice plane. Being an Aerobasque, I know it's going to be a good plane. They make really good stuff. And, oh, look over there. They got a tractor cutting the lawn. So we'll be taking this to Rochester. And let's see here. Let's get inside. Before we do, let's take a look at our weather picture. And it doesn't look pretty. This was over Buffalo a little while ago, and now it's headed for Rochester. We'll probably get there about the time it does. So we'll probably be landing in some soup. Let's have a look at weather conditions first. Winds, calm. 10 miles visibility. Overcast at 13,000. Broken clouds at 5,000. I figured we'd fly at 5,000. Altimeter 2991. Rochester. Right now, winds are 220 at 8. That'll probably change. Altimeter's dropping. It's down to 2990. And again, clouds are broken, but that'll probably change as well. So we'll figure on taking an ILS on runway 22. Let's have a look here. Initial approach fix is at Keki, which we have to hit at 2,500 feet. And we can maintain 2,500. We will go and we'll have to go through a holding pattern here to get turned around. We'll be coming up from this direction. But we stay at 2,500 until we grab the glide slope. So we had some clouds, but at least it stopped raining, since the canopy won't close until I start the engine. Well, let's get our fuel set over to the right tank. Get our battery on. Avionics on. And let's have a look. Fuel on board. We're good for 315 miles. So we're fine on fuel. Now I've got that noise you hear in the background. I've got several plug-ins running here. Let's have a look. We've got 1/24th ATC, which I'm not using today, so we'll turn that one off. We've got Gizmo 64. This is for the recently acquired Pocket Rocket from TorqueSim, and once I get proficient with that thing, we'll be taking that for a cruise. We've got XATC chatter running in the background. Right now we're listening to Cleveland Center. We should be on Buffalo Tower. We'll do that. We've also got SP Realistic running, which is very realistic. We've got the GTN 750s. This plane's not equipped with it. X-Enviro we've got running, so we get real weather updates every 5 minutes, and it's real weather. If there's snow on the ground at my house, there's snow on the ground at this airport, which is close to where I live. That's in ABS. That's the airport. Take a look at that one. Here's us. This is KBUF, Buffalo Airport. There's the runways. Not so much here, but at big airports like LaGuardia or Dallas-Fort Worth, it comes in real handy. We also, for smaller airports, we have the Airport Navigator, which is looks like that. And we can zoom in on that one. We're here. We want to be here. So we'll take a closer look at that later. I've also got better pushback, which I like to use for airliners. Fly with Lua, a couple of scripts running on those, not too many. ATC info, the auto view distance, that gives me a couple extra frames per second. Seaplane parking helps out. Icing indicator, haven't used that yet, but come wintertime that'll come in handy. You can't always tell when you're getting iced up by looking outside. ATC info, I can get the METAR and the altimeter and everything from this. So there it is. ATC is not online, but there's our weather conditions that we saw on the map, and we get our altimeter from that, or we can get it from the map. Either way. A couple other the SAM, that gives me the auto gate when it's Skunkcraft's updater. Terrain radar, I use that once in a while, but the newest GPSs seem to show that much better. And especially around here where I know the elevations, I don't need it. Get out in the mountains though, it's nice to have if you're in the soup. Okay, let's have a look at a flight plan. I've already entered it, so we'll just take a quick look here. So we're going Buffalo to Rochester, and according to that, we will be in the hold. Buffalo to Rochester. First thing will be at that Kecky intersection, and we'll go into a hold, and then we'll grab our glide slope at Mapes intersection for runway 22. Missed approach. Climb to 1,000 and head directly to the Geneseo VOR and hold. I don't expect a missed approach, but this is what it'll be if we need it. So, there's our path, and we'll get our GPS navigation going. Alrighty, we're all set to go. The rate that weather's moving, we may be in it, we may not be by the time we get there. So, fuel forward, propeller forward, crack the throttle, get the key in the ignition, and let's see here, I don't have a beacon, but I can get the nav lights on. Pitot heat we won't need. And we're running. The cross tie and the alternator on, and we're good to go there. Now I can close the canopy, and it'll stay closed. Thank you. Alright, so let's see here. We'll check our barometer. We can actually set that right here. We need 2991. No, that's another Lua script. I can makes it easy to read when I'm changing the barometer. So that's set. Autopilot. We'll sync the heading mode, especially once we get on the runway, and we'll there's no altitude preset in this autopilot. All we can do is hit it when we reach our altitude, and it'll grab. We're on an IFR flight plan, 2200 squawk code for the 5,000 foot altitude. If VFR, we would fly at either 3,500 or 5,500 going east. If we're filed IFR, it'll be an odd altitude. 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatnot. So, due to the winds, actually, because of the winds being calm, we'll take the closest runway. We don't need to take 23. So let's have a look. We're here. We can take runway 14 since the winds are calm and head straight out that way. So that works to our advantage. So we're ready to taxi. Parking brake off. And give it a little juice here. And head to runway 14. Be a short taxi. These are just fun flights I like to make. I have about 30 or so aircraft in my hangar, and we'll take a different one on each flight. These aren't meant to evaluate any aircraft. I'm not teaching anything about IFR flying. I'm just making a flight, recording it for you guys to watch. If you learn something from it, so much the better. I do take shortcuts since this is only a simulator. Like, I tend to skip checklists. Failures are turned off. I will use a walk-around checklist for things like the Challenger 300. But for the most part, we just kick the tires and light the fires. Now we know where we're going. We don't need that anymore. I will try to upload a different flight every week. What I like to do is just head. We'll leave from Buffalo, go to Rochester. From Rochester, we'll take the next flight and go someplace. I don't know where yet. Random thoughts. And at each place we land at, we'll start the next flight from there. I usually like to head east and then south, then west, then north through the Great Plains, maybe west again and through the mountains, then maybe north up into Canada. We'll cover most of the country, and we'll probably cover some into Canada, and maybe even cross the pond. Yeah, get slowed down here. Put our landing light on. I should have had the taxi light on, but we don't really need it in the daytime. Let's get our strobes on. Nav lights are on, altitude is set, altimeter is set. So let's put in a notch of flaps. Right about there. As you can see, I've also got that AILS program running. It gives me real surface areas on airports and stuff. Also have a lot of reflections on the windows. There's some reflections when I can. Let's see, I've got a Lewis grip for coordinated brakes here. Toe brakes. I got CH rudder pedals. Toe brakes aren't perfect. Okay, so let's see here. Let's set our heading bug. Autopilot. Heading. Sync. There we are. And we'll get that on once we get airborne. Release the parking brake and let's go. Okay. We don't have retract, so we'll just crank the flaps up. Turn the autopilot on. Heading mode selected. And nav mode selected. And once we get to 5,000 feet, we'll activate the altitude hold. the autopilot can keep us at 5,000 feet. And we always keep the heading mode synchronized. In case you lose your navigation, you can always fall back on your heading mode until you sort things out. Okay, looks like we're going to hit a little bit of turbulence. We are coming into this weather that we saw between Buffalo and Rochester. So I expect we'll be in IFR conditions real soon here. Just pull up the map real quick. And as you see, we're heading right into the soup. And it looks like we'll be in it all the way to Rochester. We are going to start out over the lake and come in this direction. So far the winds haven't changed. Now with XP, landing lights off. With XP Realistic running, speed's dropping. Let's get back up there. And we're in the rain. Now let's run square. Try 23 inches at 2300 RPM. We don't want to get anywhere near the yellow arc in this stuff. So this looks like it's going to be an IFR flight all the way to Rochester. Speed's getting a little quick. Cut the manifold pressure down a bit. So we got some nasty turbulence, some rain. This is what I mean about X-Enviro being accurate. Between that and XP Realistic, this is going to be as close to real life as you get without actually having to use the barf bag. Put the pitot heat on, you never know. If I can. Well, the autopilot's earning its money today. Holding course, holding altitude. Nasty turbulence, getting too close to the yellow arc here. Let me cut back the manifold pressure a bit. Slow her down. Maybe keep it around 150. In this rough air, you don't want to go too fast. Judging by the looks of that map, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, how's it look from outside? Well, that's not too bad. that is, back inside. So sit tight, folks. We got a rough ride ahead of us. Exhaust gas temperature. We could lean out the mixture some. See where we can take this. Bump that up to 20. And looks like our max temperature is 13. It's coming down. All right, let's get. I like to run rich of peak. There's two very distinct thoughts on that. People who run lean of peak and people who run a rich of peak. Both are valid arguments. But I like to run rich. Prolongs the engine life a little bit, in my opinion. People who run lean say it's better for the engine to do that, but I don't know. I guess it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. No, looks like the rain showers are, no, not really. I was going to say, it looks like it might be lightening up a little bit, but I don't think so. We can see the ground. It looks like we're getting into and there's blue sky. I can see blue sky. It looks like we're temporarily out of the heavy stuff. The one thing I don't have on this is weather radar, which would be nice. It'd be nice if you could see weather up ahead, but we don't have it in this plane. Yeah, it looks like things have calmed down a little bit for a while. Alright, looks like we're coming to our initial approach point. So, let's see here. I think we want to we can preset. Okay, we want to go down to 2500. How close to 2500 it puts us. Right on. We'll take it. Yeah, we'll want to take our speed way down. We do have speed brakes if we need them, but if we take our RPMs up to say 2400, that'll help slow us down. That works. Okay, our initial approach point would be over the lake. We'll make our procedure turn. And once we get down, alright, I'm going to let the autopilot take it from here. Now, the one thing the autopilot does not have is an approach button. Sync our heading. Always like to keep the heading bug synced. And tweak our throttle back a little. Especially on an ILS, you definitely want to keep the heading bud synced with the direction, you know, when you've got the localizer dialed in. Some autopilots won't capture the glide slope if you have the heading bug off, or they may even lose the localizer. You always want to keep your heading bug synced. Alright, it looks like it's making the procedure turn, or the holding, and it is taking us on the protected side. If we were over the over terrain, this side guarantees terrain clearance. This side does not. We're over water, it's not really relevant for this flight, but if we were over the dirt, you'd want to be on this side of the holding, maybe on the side of your holding pattern, what's known as the protected side. So far so good. We'll get back on course here. We'll probably take us around and join up right here. So let's see what happens. At least I don't have to worry about forgetting to put the gear down. Go full rich on the mixture. And bring the prop up to 25. Well, bring the prop full forward. Let the throttle control our speed. Looks like 2400 is the best we're going to get out of it right now. And sync our heading mug. I think once we get close to the outer marker, where we'll grab the glide slope, we'll release the altitude hold and see if it takes us in just on the nav function. I expect we'll get a glide slope. This shows us localizer. I expect we'll get a bug for the glide slope here, and we will follow it to the ground if we have to do it manually. It'll be a slight course correction once we hit the outer, or hit the initial approach point again here. A slight course change here. We'll reset the heading bug. And as we get closer to the outer marker at Mapes, we'll go into localizer mode. I should make sure I have the right frequency, 110.7, which is dialed in, but it's active, okay. And that changed over to localizer by itself. I think we're going to be all right on that. So we will get our keep our speed up. Keep our speed up around 100. Miles from the runway. And we've hit the weather again. Pretty much as predicted. Sync the heading bug. we've drifted off course here. We'll need to make a right turn. Get back on course. Looks like we're flying the approach manually. Get ourselves back on course here. Almost to the outer marker. Heading mode. Our actual course is 224. There's the outer marker. Looks like we're on our own. This course and rate of descent. Get ourselves slowed down. There's the runway, slightly off. We're at 1,000 feet above. Get ourselves lined up. Ourselves slowed way down. Put the speed brakes in and some flaps. Take the speed brakes out. 200 feet above the runway. This would be decision height if I had a working ILS. Since we have the runway environment in sight, we can land. It might not be pretty. 20, 10, and there we are. And let's see if we can get a look at the runway where we are here. We want to be the next, and we know where we're going. We can turn that off. And just like the map showed, we got here in the weather. That's okay. We'll just park up straight ahead up there. FBO area. That'll be our next takeoff point for our next flight. We'll go Rochester to someplace else, depending on the plane. If it's not a fast or it's a slow mover, make a short flight. I'm thinking maybe Syracuse or Utica, and then into. Okay. Parking brake on. Taxi lights off. Avionics off. Off, off, off. Yeah. Hang the key up, turn the battery off. Of course the canopy comes open whether we want it to or not, even though it's raining cats and dogs. Okay, well that was the end of our first flight. Hope you all enjoyed it. It was a rough one. I promise there'll be better in the future. I'll try to avoid the heaviest of the weather. But hey, sometimes you can't. Okay, well I'll see you on the next flight.